invested in our community with their business, and we're trying to help them help us. So I give them a lot of credit. With little luck, this restaurant, which would be the gun club, taking the front side of the gun club, demolishing the entire back end, putting a new second wing on the gun club, totally restoring the existing WPA project in front, adding a second floor and a deck with a restaurant deck. You can go out there and eat on a nice summer day. We'll probably be on the same timetable as the community center renovations. Start sometime early January, February, and be finished sometime midsummer to late summer. That project may go a little further into the project, depending on complexity. We're also looking at, I wanted to talk this, I noticed some people here from the Center Street, the new homes on Center Street, Center Street. We're trying to make an investment next year now with all the park changes to say we need to monitor and change how we police the beach parking situation. Right now, I'm leaning toward putting 2 signs on entrance ways to Front Street and 117th Street that basically says, probably more polite than this. If you park your stupid car anywhere but inside the park, you're going to get a ticket for $250. Okay? I can't put no beach parking signs on every block, 17 of them in the entire city. Okay? So right now it actually is cluttering our city up because we have so many parking up. And what the people are doing is they're driving around the spot there's no sign, say, oh, there's no sign on parking. Well, there's no beach parking anywhere. You can drive the park, pay $15 if you're in Illinois, and smile. You pay for the people that are working there. Okay? So we're looking at a different way to handle it. And the good part about it is we're looking at enforcing and hiring summer help that will actually be in patrols, that will actually monitor this constantly and take it out of police control, because the police department can consistently control that situation. And there's a lot of reasons to that. They'll try, they'll come and respond to you, but to catch somebody, officially have them stand in the court, you need to catch them walking back to the beach, or you can catch them going to the beach. And if you have those parking patrols out there, I'll call them meter maids, whatever you want to call them, okay? But they're going to patrol it, and it'll be believe me, the cost of their salary should be well paid for by those $250 tickets. Okay? All right, I want to give you a little update. You probably saw some action by St. John Church. I've talked about this before. I'm not sure how much detail you got into. The project's nearing completion. It's actually a joint project between the city of Whiting and the parish. Okay, we were looking for ways to take our property that we bought with the old bank property and say, how can we maximize the parking use? It's very difficult for us to take the old hotel or the boulevard and try to stir new economic development there because there's simply no parking. Okay, so what we came up with was we talked to Father Kelly. Father Kelly agreed that we're going to invest the money to do the entire parking lot, new paving, ornamental fencing around the entire operation, changing some lighting, added some drainage, and we've changed now to where there's only one entrance. The alleyway that was going into the back is going to be the only driveway now, so we're eliminating 2 driveways added, which gives us more parking spaces. So the joint project will end up giving us 85 more parking spaces for that area. And the church's part of the deal is that they will maintain the property, plow it, clean it, and also allow us to park an overflow parking in evenings for events. Okay, briefly dog park, a lot of calls about dog parks. I'm talking about the dog beach, but the dog park. We have an oral agreement and understanding with the city of Hammond that they'll build a dog park if we build a dog beach. Okay? Again, I don't want the press to take another shot at my buddy Mayor Tom, but we're building ours. He's not off his butt yet. So we're going to try to resurrect that and try to get that thought going. We're also looking at some little league improvements. We're going to try to keep investing in our facilities so we can get as many kids participating in our project, our facilities as we can. There's a drawing and a schematic of a conceptual view of a new T-ball field that we're going to hope to have done for next season. It's basically going to be a turf field where the little leaguers, the T-ball field, go out there, get off the big field so that those games can go on uninterrupted from the other fields, and also serve as an infield practice for little league teams because it'll be regulation infield, it'll all be turf, so it'll be pretty cool.
Located where?
It'll be in the outfield of the softball field, so kind of between the tennis courts and the softball field. Okay, update on Indianapolis Boulevard, project's proceeding. There's a full set of prints on the table if you want to look at any details of it. If you can't read prints, construction prints, then, you know, it's probably not worth looking at. But the project is estimated to be bid, or the bid's let in May. We're anticipating a June through November construction. Bob, will it go any longer than that, you think? It should be next year construction season. That includes paving the new roads, all new ornamental lighting, turn lanes, sidewalks, trees, sewer lining, hydrant improvements, the whole works. Okay, God knows that street needs it. Okay, so, you know, we got to keep on schedule there. It's about a $3 million investment for the city, which is one of the projects we have to fund. Okay, that's a partnership with NDOT, who's putting in about $3 million, and City of Hammond's putting in about $1.5 million. Okay, 117th Street. This is a project that's totally bond sensitive. If the money's in the pot's not big enough, this project probably gets delayed. But we know we have sewer and water work from 117th Street from Cleveland Avenue to the tracks. Okay, we also know we have a new issue at the intersection of Oliver and 117th Street down with the Little League field there. The increased traffic in that area in that flower pot is causing a ton of commotion. And it's really, it's not the safest situation. The bad news is that all the solutions to put stop signs up and get people to stop are worse than the solution, than the current situation. Because all it does is confuse people if we don't do it. So we're going to need to take the flower box out, reconfigure to stop this intersection to a four-way stop, a traditional four-way stop. Okay, that project along with all the water work is ready to bid by this fall. It'll include paving, sidewalks, lighting, sewers, water, the Oliver Street intersection, restoration of the brick paveway going into the park from, say, Oliver to the park, and all the bike path connections coming back from the park up into the new facilities. We hope everything goes as planned, that project will be under construction next year, but again, that's totally bond money dependent. We have a couple of parking projects that I have some sketches on here that we're working on. These projects are funded, but they're determined, their timing is determined by acquisitions or construction. The first one is the new building across from the post office is going up. As soon as that building is constructed and all the heavy equipment is out of the way, the city owns all the property on the back side of that property, going all the way back to the parking lot by the Fabric Architects and memory makers. So we'll come in the back and add several new parking spaces behind that, so there'll be a behind the business parking area, and that'll extend to Fisher Avenue on a couple lots that we own on Fisher. So if you kind of vision from the air, you'll have the Center Bank parking lot, the Fisher Avenue parking lot, the big stretch of parking behind these new buildings, and a new lot between memory makers and Fabric. Several car spaces there to help the businesses overflow parking there. We hope that based on the construction of that building, they'll be cleared out for this year, and as soon as the next spring season comes and the asphalt plant's open, we'll be able to get that project rolling. Same situation for Shaw, Ohio, with Baptist Church. We're in discussions right now to try to acquire the property next to the Baptist Church. The Baptist Church is willing to sell us their corner triangle. We would combine those two for additional parking, like that parking on the east end of town. The project benefits the church, benefits the business in that area, and also provides overflow parking for Royal City Stadium. That project is acquisition dependent. As soon as we finalize the deal to acquire that property, we'll tear the building down and begin the process. If it happens before the asphalt plant's closed, it's possible it gets done this year, but more likely that spring also. Just briefly, I want to talk about St. Mary's Church. Our redevelopment plan has identified all the schools and towns in the town that are no longer in operation, and our goal is to try to find adequate uses for those schools and those operations to see how we can put them back in good use in the community. St. Mary's approached us. We're in discussions with them right now to try to find something to do with their school. We're looking at options from restoring the building to for schooling, like preschool operations or daycare, all the way to tearing it down and increasing their parking. But those projects in discussions now, hopefully we'll have some answers in the next couple of months. ADA compliance, for federal government, it's worse than this. Anyway, they changed the rules. The handicap ramps that go down to the streets and the curbs you see all over the place. We've always maintained ADA compliance. We've always tried to comply with every project we've done and put the proper curb cuts in. We spent a lot of money to actually go out and cut the curbs, to make sure we had those compliant. The federal government keeps changing the rules and their standards, and now they require those orange and red mats with the bubbles. So anywhere we've done projects before that were compliant at the time now have to be upgraded to the new standards. So we are hoping that now we'll be 100% compliant sometime in 2015. But we have a plan in place. We're going to do so many per year. Every new project we do, we're going to expand a little bit and try to do as many as we can as part of that project. We're also looking at a plan right now that for 2014 and 2015, we take all the playgrounds in the community, including the playgrounds in the park, analyze our needs, look at the possible options for them, and put a capital plan in place to review and upgrade all those playgrounds. I almost left this last one off, but you know, I get a lot of calls about the Iliad Hotel. All right, the Iliad Hotel is owned by a private person, had troubles in the mortgage collapse, mortgage crisis, and a recession. Fundamental error, the property went up for tax sale and we put a bid on it. Okay, at this point we're taking the steps to acquire that property through the tax sale process, but it's a long process and there is some appeals potential. But we have every hope that we will be the owner of that property, and then we will begin discussions with realistic developers who can then put that property back in place. So stay tuned. Okay, that's it. I'll gladly entertain some questions. You know, I'll take a breather here. You know, but I just want to ask everybody today. You know, I know there's a lot of people here, and I love our people from Robertsdale, and I'm glad you showed up. When you ask a question, I would just hope that if you're from Robertsdale, I don't know, you can let me know that. So my answer may be different, you know, based on Robertsdale perspective. But the truth of the matter is, I'll be less than one.
I live in Robertsdale on the other side.
But you are a business
And
partner.
I'm a list here. But really quick, the parking for the new 24 apartments.
Yep.
You're going to do more parking.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say each household has 2 cars. Is that going to be enough parking there? And then also, have we talked again about parking limits on 119th Street in general, like 1 hour or 2 hour parking? Because I know everybody's got the same problem.
Everybody hear that? The question basically is the parking we're going to put behind the new building on 19th Street going to be enough to serve all the people and the businesses? And is there any other plans to limit the parking on 19th Street? When I first got elected, I looked at the parking on 19th Street and I asked the council, let's go to 2 hour parking. Okay, that should solve a lot of problems, right? But after we talked about it, the council and I looked at it, we said, you know what? Before we can legitimately ask the residents on 118th Street and the businesses on 119th Street not to park there any longer, then we need to provide additional off-street parking for them. And once we've accomplished that, we immediately go to 2 hour parking. Now, I didn't predict that we were going to have a tax crisis and a mortgage in this recession. So right now we're finalizing those parking lots. That's a lot of the information I've talked to you about, those new parking facilities. Once they're all done, we'll go to 2 hour parking. And secondly, the parking behind the 1500 block will probably not be enough for everybody, but we're looking at other spots in the area to add more spots. So we're going to continue looking at trying to grow. Pete?
Yes, Mayor, let's see, there's a property at 119th and Sheridan where the building burned down.
Right.
I suppose that's not one of your projects, but can you talk about
Sure.
it?
Well, the question was, what's going to happen with the property where the building burnt down on 119th Street? We've been in discussions, at least we're trying to entertain discussions with the property owners. That's a really complex situation. I think I tried to describe it in the Right Stuff article once, but what really happened is the building that burned down, their east wall, okay, of the building that burned down, actually is the same wall of the building next door. Okay, so they couldn't take that wall down, right? Well, the other complicating factor is that wall is owned by the property owner whose building burned down and not by the building guy next door. Okay, and that wall is on the property of the guy who built it, so now he's got to sell the wall to the other guy. Okay? So we've offered to get involved, and we offered to say, listen, we'll get involved, we'll buy both properties, we'll fix the property, we'll make the wall look good, we'll do something with the lot and put it into something that is an asset to the community. But right now those discussions are in place and the owners are working out a deal. So once the deal's done, we'll probably take the next step. Welcome to my world.
Yeah, I'm a white resident.
Hey!
Yeah, I love the community center plan except for the timing. Closing is there any way to either delay that until when the community center vision gets slow in May and June, or to find, a limited space where we can do some exercise, hold some classes, like maybe St. Mary's, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I think the only viable option is to try to find an alternate place, so maybe we'll look at that. If we delay it, it's just gonna cost us money. Construction costs go up, everything surrounding
And
it.
where will the schools and the community evacuate to in case of emergency, because this is the.
Yeah, we'll come up with a plan for that. Yeah, more than likely it'll end up being the school for that period of time. But that's a good point, we'll bring it up and talk about it. Well, wait, next, you got a whole list of stuff. In that, go ahead. Yeah.
So when do you think that we'll be able to hear it?
I actually didn't hear a question.
We couldn't hear anything outside of these doors. So I was curious, when will we have an opportunity to hear it from the street?
If you got the time, I'll repeat the entire presentation after this. I'll give you one shot. Actually, you know what? I have a video that I will send you. Thank you. Trevor? The question was how many people are employed in community centers. There's approximately 28. Okay, and that includes all the aerobics instructors who in some cases have other jobs. It includes the administration who are also handle the park. It includes all the park managers. And maybe 28 people affected and 5 people on the grass, so maybe 32. Trevor. Yes, thanks,
Joe, if we get a restaurant, get a hotel, wouldn't that increase the over-the-counter or over-the-track volume?
Yes.
And then maybe that $2.4 million might not have to.
Yeah, I think we're so fucked. I don't know if you heard this
Concentrate
question.
on that
Yeah.
first.
And the question was, if we put a restaurant in the park and we get a hotel in the park, won't that increase the traffic that possibly raises above the threshold where the arrows have to then participate? I believe we're tens of thousands short. I think it's like a 20 to 25,000 car threshold, and I think our latest count is 1,100 cars. So, yeah. We actually tried that when we had the 1,100. Okay. Okay.
Should we have a building there that's an eyesore for our black, and not only that black in our community? What is the plan for that building?
Is that the building that the county owns?
Yeah.
Okay. The question was, there's a building on Oliver that's an eyesore, and what's the plan for the building? There's a property on Oliver with the county, what's the official development agency? It's Economic Development Agency. They purchased along with several other in town, and their funding ran out, and they're waiting for the new funding to come back in to pick up that project and continue it. What they did is they came and stripped the siding off the property. It looks like an eyesore. Okay, and she wanted to know what the plan is. It's not our property, it's a county property. We'll work with them, we'll try to get on them and see if we can get an update on the plan. My building commissioner's in back, he's hearing that now. So we'll try to get an update on that. But we're giving them as much leeway as we can because, they bought 5 properties or 4 or 5 in the community. They fixed up 2 or 3 already that are great benefits to the community. And I'm hoping that they do this one too, and continue with it, invest the money. Yes, ma'am.
With all the increased development that's going on in the next couple of years and the flow of traffic and more people coming to town, is there a plan for an improved or increased police force?
That's a good question. Actually, right now, what I'd like to do is get our cops off the butt a little bit more and help them pick up the slack. But they're eating way too many doing it. No. Any cops there? Sorry, not in. Yeah, that's a fair question. And one good thing about the community center project, we save $500,000 here if we proceed with the YMCA project. That money will then go back into the general fund. We'll be able to bring our police and firemen back up to more normal levels. Right now, we're one or two policemen down from normal operating. Doesn't mean we're terribly undermanned, because we made some other changes. The captains are on the street now compared to being at desk. But the firemen are down, and that money will help us bring those people back up to full staff. And it will take it from there, and if we need more patrols, we can always analyze that. Yes, ma'am. Okay? Oh, for YMCA? Right. The question is, has the Y given us any indication what they'll charge for memberships when they reopen? We haven't discussed that with them, but we have looked on the Y site, and across all Ys, there's a varying degree of rates, okay? So they will be definitely more expensive than what we were charging, okay? But then again, they're gonna have 6 times the facility that we have.
Do we get senior citizen discounts?
I believe there is a Y discount if you become a Y member, okay? But again, once the way I understand the YMCA program, if you're a Y member, you can use the Y card at any YMCA across the country. So it's a national program. So, you know, you abide by their terms, and if they do have a senior discount, then you can do that. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, a lot of people in the lighting area do not realize there's an animal control no-kill facility here. I noticed today when I went down 119th Cross Street, and there's a sign there that indicates that there's a recycling to the right there. There's another item that I didn't remember what it was, but I think that there should be an arrow there or whatever with those color ones that indicate there's an animal
Okay.
because it's so obscure, you know, in the back.
Okay. The question was that a lot of people in town don't know we have a no-kill animal shelter in town, and the signage near the facility isn't really that prominent and well. We'll look into the signage. I know we made some adjustments. We got a sign on the building. Just so you know, through the stadium district plan, one of the components is to take our city garage and the animal control shelter, and Donnie back there, I thought about donuts at the time. Sorry. Got a giggle out of my own. Anyway, part of that project, we're going to take the garage and animal shelter and to move it back further, and with the help of BP, because of some things they're doing there. And we'll make sure that that facility is definitely done. And for the meantime, we'll try to get some new tech. My animal control warden is looking at here, listening to that right now. Yeah, you just need directional signage to get there. Okay. Our animal guru is going to jump on that. Yes, right.
We took ownership of 1811 Sheridan.
Yeah, 1811 is, oh yeah,
And we've been promised that a house will be built there, and
yes.
I'm curious of what's going on, and when the city will take that ownership of that
Yeah.
property.
Okay, that's a good question. The city bought several properties on Sheridan, that's why I kind of walked there, I know which one's that, you know. We now are the owners of 1715 Sheridan, 1811 Sheridan. Well, yeah, 1811 Sheridan, we own and sold to Hennessy Builders, who is in the process of building a home. There's been some delays. We are in discussion to try to get that going. You know, builder never wants to invest the money until he has somebody, a solid owner. If we took ownership of it again, I guarantee you it's a year before we'd be able to sell it again and get it going. So right now, it's almost certain it's a better chance to work with him to get that building done. So we'll get on him first. If we can't come up with a reasonable solution or start date that, we'll consider other options.
I have another question. What city is it that has these properties on 117th Street between Atchison and Merle? Who's city?
Anything west of Atchison is not ours. So,
That's lot on that.
should I call Mayor Tom for you? I got him. Who else? Rebecca? All right.
Minor quick.
All right.
How long is the lease with YMCA? Do you guys know yet? Like how long?
The question is, how long is the new lease with YMCA. Our discussions right now are to create a 5-year lease with 3 years for $1 a year, and with some market-based contribution from them to us in years 4 and 5. There'll probably be a built-in extension because if they're going to make the investment that they need to make here to get it going, they'll probably want some protection from years 6 through 10. So there'll be some, language in there that says that we won't unreasonably withhold the second term, second 5-year term. Yes, ma'am.
Can I have a personal question? This city administration has put together a group of really good people with vision, which Whiting has not had for a long, long time. Is this team going to stay together?
The question, the pointed question was, is this team going to stay together? Not if I can have any say so. No. I think there's a good chance that, I got some guys that are long in the tooth, but I think we'll be okay. And I appreciate, it's a good point though, I stand up here and take all the credit for everything all the time. Well, today I took a little heat. I thought it was going to be a little bit more controversial than it was, but I have an extremely good staff. Okay, everybody from, they're all in the room today, I'm not going to point them all out, but a lot of the credit goes to not only my staff, but the city council. These people, they're dedicated to this community, and they all want to see it better. Our goal is that when we leave, at the end of the day, that it's better shape than we took it. And I hope that when the history books are written, that people will say that. But a lot of credit goes to my staff and to the council, so I do thank them for all their help.
Let me direct your attention to the north end of Atchison Avenue, specifically where the city has demolished, for lack of a better name,
The old horseshoe club.
the storage. Yeah, the old boxing club is
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
What's the
What are
plan?
the plans?
The question was, what's the plans for the old horseshoe club property on Atchison Avenue? We were unfortunate that, that building was used as storage and for the horseshoe club headquarters for years. And we actually had the parapet walls on the roof actually get caught and collapsed during a rainstorm where some of the deck drains in the roof got flooded and just the walls just blew out. To replace them would have been twice the cost of what the building would have been valued at, so we elected to tear the building down. Now the question is, what are you going to do with it? We have just subdivided those properties. We have just changed, went through all the zoning process to put them back into residential play, and we're looking at the option, or we're actually currently marketing them for sale. Anybody willing to put a new home there? So there'll actually be 2 45-foot lots, I think. Two 40-foot lots. So and then we're going to add a few more feet to the park and take the extra land that's left over and increase the parking there. But there's enough room there for 2 40-foot lots. We sold a little bit of the property to the property owner next door because there was an underground concrete vault we couldn't build. So it was useless to anybody, so that he wanted an extra part for his land. So he took that off our hands, and now, so I think we have some interest in that. There's some conversation going on right now. So maybe in the next, couple of months, we'll see some action there too. Yes, ma'am.
What is the status of the auditorium?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's one thing I didn't mention. The question is, what's the status of the auditorium in the community center? That's the only part of this building that will not be leased to the YMCA. And the reason we're holding that back is that we don't want them to use that as storage or some unconventional use. We want to maintain the opportunity to do something with that building down in the future. Now, for the people who are the theater participants, it's extremely expensive and extremely difficult to put that theater back to use for live theater again. And you'd have to make a business case to do it because we already have 2 theaters in town, maybe 3 theaters in town to Hoosier, to where they're not being fully utilized. So I'd rather try to invest in one of those 2 event facilities to try to help them out than to spend $7 or $8 million to put that back on as a theater. But there has been some really creative ideas to take the theater and to restore the entire inside of the facility, new curtains, do the stage, do all the ornamental, and then possibly take the seats out and use it as a multi-use type facility. That would be a lot less expensive, but still a long way down the road, you know. So, but the theaters is a tough, because you know, all the seats are asbestos, all the seats have to be, it has to be fireproof, all the building has to be totally, it's just, and then everybody we've talked to said that without putting additional dressing rooms and storage for the sets, it'd be really hard, you need an addition to make that happen. So, you know, I would love the days where you say, hey, we got a theater now, it's cool, but man, it's just, you have to look at this. Jim?
Wayne, Jack Mayor.
Hey,
I,
occasional pastor.
I think that what you're doing, even though it may sound controversial now, is vital to us. I remember the city of Columbus also had a single main taxpayer. And somebody came up with the idea, what happens if they leave or they're forced to leave? If the government won't allow the Keystone Pipeline, they could shut down the city refinery.
Yeah.
I think what you're doing is to increase the tax base, increase job opportunities, giving lighting alternatives to the destination. I think it's critical.
Thank you, Jim. You know, Jim brings up a point, and I don't remember him, but, you know, I laugh sometimes, because I'm kind of a historian. Back in 2003, when I was campaigning for his office, I thought I wanted it at the time. I wrote all this big stuff on my website, all my strategy and things, you know, and I said, one of my primary goals is to diversify the tax base. Because if BP passes gas, it ripples through all of us and it hurts us. You know, but I didn't know they were going to spend $6 billion to, you know, expand their facilities. So, you know, my whole diversification project went right down the toilet. You know, so anything we put on the tax rolls that's non-BP helps us somewhere down the road. So hopefully this, yeah, I'm going to throw a number out to you guys. Thank God, because I don't want to hear his number. But it's off the record if you're still there. There could be $500 million invested in the stadium district and around if all the projects that we're talking about happen. Now, that's not a number we made up. That's a mind-boggling number. Now, some of it's going to be BP, a lot of it. But, you know, when you're talking about the office buildings and ice arenas, and new hotels, and commercial entities, and condominiums, and retail establishments, that's a heck of a lot of cash being spent a little away. Now, if I get to there, I'm quickly, okay, but I don't, that's kind of like my number. Jack?
So I think that the people here should appreciate the fact that we've been fortunate enough to have someone like you with the forethought and foresee what's going on. I appreciate the fact that we have someone like you with the vision and forethought and have put together a community of administrative people who have had enough guts and balls to do the kind of things that you're doing, because there's a lot of risk involved. We're not people sitting here and taking the risk. You guys are taking the risk, and it's going to be for the betterment of the city. I'd like to see that continue, because I don't want to become a Gary.
Thank you. During the day?
I don't want to take my kids there. It's very delightful.
Okay. There's I don't know if you guys heard that, you know, there's some call to question on the clientele that's at the beach. How we heard that. Let me tell you a couple of things that we did. Okay, when we acquired Walhalla Beach from the county after they were going to shut it down, we immediately raised the Illinois, or out-of-state, I'm sorry, the Chicago, still there, I'm sorry. Yeah, still there. We immediately raised the out-of-state fees from $6 a car or $7 a car to $15. Okay? The first summer, what happened is our revenue doubled, and the riffraff on the beach was almost non-existent. Okay? Now what's happening is they're getting more creative because they're parking 6 and 7 blocks away. And they're bringing 7 to 8 people walking into the park. And it's almost impossible to get them unless we put these patrols. So I'm banking everything I have next year. I have the 2 round-the-clock or the beach operation patrols to make sure that we catch the people who are. Because if you don't want to pay $15, you got 6 people in your car, there's something wrong, and I don't think I want you in my beach. So that's the goal right now, and I appreciate those comments. But you know, raising the fees, and here's the dilemma I'm at, right? I'm trying to create a destination for the citywide and bring people here to share our amenities, bring people here to go to our hotels, eat in our restaurants and shop in our stores, but I'm telling people don't come on the beach. You know, so it's a difficult spot. So I think the enforcement is the key. And then if we have to, we'll start, as the park is in full swing, we'll add more security on the beach to where we can kind of clean out the riffraff. But those all cost money, and hopefully the savings from the community center and some other things will help us. Derek? Yeah, you know, I'll try to do, you know, I'm a little late this year, but I try to do 2 or 3 a year. There's been so much happening that, you know, we'll try. So maybe later this year I'll try to do 1 more.
You know, you're one here.
Did my wife hear that?
I want to say something.
Uh-oh.
I've lived in lighting since I was 10 years old, and for 10 years we've been fighting out here. And I've now lived here for over 40, so I mean, this is my hometown. And I've always wanted to live in a town that was multi-ethnic, multi-racial, multi-religious, that worked. And I think I see that happening here in Lighting. And I guess the beach remark bothers me, because if it's really actions that you're objecting to, I don't have any problems with that.
Yeah.
But if it's color or where you came from, I have big problems with that.
I appreciate those comments, but I think what's happening here is that the people that we see at the beach are just obnoxious, unrespectful people. They're not people of certain races or I mean, we have people that bring their kids out and leave their dirty diapers on the beach and they must have them on. Now you ask yourself, who would do that? You know? But anyway, it's just disrespectful people.
Okay, I just have a question about the Rosie Fest.
Yeah.
I worked again this year selling t-shirts for the football team. It was so stacked up there that I heard so many people say to me that they're not coming back because they couldn't get to the vendors and they couldn't.
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to get the car down, guys.
So I just wondered, is there plans to maybe move something so that the flow will be better?
You know, I get this question a lot. You know, there's too many people at Brody Fest, and it can be expanded, or we're moving to the park. Well, you know, the reason it's on 19th Street was designed to be a business district event so that it can help the businesses on 19th. And it's going to stay there as long as I'm there. But I'm open to any solution that they come up where we can expand the street a little bit and possibly, you know, make this fest longer. One of the ideas that was suggested this year that may have some merit is to have a beer garden of sorts in the stadium and allow people to go down there so there's some food and stadiums. And that may take some people and spread the street out a little bit. You know, yeah, so we'll look at that, but yeah, you know, really, I mean, I don't know if we can fit any more people down there. I mean, to me, I scratch my head and say, where did it come from? They're up from Rockville, anyway. Oh, 2,500 New York, we'll have to call Mayor Tom on that again too, that's Rockville. But I do hear that the 2,500 New York property is the old Stanford Research Building that was going to be the hospital. What I do know, this is unofficial, because I'm not the mayor of Hammond, that they applied for a grant from the RDA, and I believe they got the grant to be able to demolish that building, and then there should be a next step from there from them. Yes, ma'am?
Yes, Robertsdale.
Okay.
Okay.
Different insurance.
But anyway, I have a question here. I'd like to know if the Y is going to have like a couple spare rooms for seniors that we have a group of seniors, all right, and we meet twice a month. Would that be available to the seniors?
Yeah, that's a good question. After you heard that question, will be the Y have rooms available for the seniors since they meet here monthly or a couple times a month. What we're going to do in our lease is we're going to recommend that they help the community organizations and to work with them. I'm not sure how they're going to respond to that, so it'll be their decision, but we'll certainly try to make sure that they accommodate us. That's one of our concerns, is to make sure they accommodate community events. Yes?
This is my last one.
All right.
We have such a nice memorial that 919
In Strong? Okay.
why some of our veteran military programs are not held down here? Why are they all held?
Yeah, I think the question was why are some of the veterans programs that we have throughout the year held at the Strong Avenue Memorial versus at the Oliver? I believe number one is the space. You know, it's a really bad intersection for traffic, and to have overflow people into the street would be really dangerous. Or blocking off Oliver is really simple to do, and you know, it's there. So that's the more logical answer. Yeah. Yeah. Where to get built? Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay, there's a good question. It says, okay, will the YMCA be able to accommodate the kids to come here and play basketball for free? Well, they don't play basketball for free. They have to pay a daily pass, even to come in right now. So you know, there is some money that's spent. No, we let them play for free. Kids, what age? I thought it was a $2 daily pass. Oh, high school and under are free? Okay, good point. I didn't know that. So maybe that's why we're losing money. The kids right now participate in the use of kids for free. You know, we'll need to talk to the Y, and I'm sure, you know, the Y's a business, they're businessmen, right? They're going to try to provide an avenue for these kids to play and find a way to do it, all right? And we also need to get the schools involved on board a little bit, right? They have a lot of facilities too, and I'm not knocking the schools here, but you know what? The schools need to participate in helping us keep the kids off the street, okay? They can't just throw them to us at 3 o'clock and say, okay, you deal with it, because we do have a lot of that. But we'll work with them. The school's very good to work with. Lindy's here for the school. We have meetings, we talk about things, so we'll try to work it out. Maybe there's a way we can have a couple days open where we can rotate the gym, and maybe we can open a small community center. Youth center. Yeah, and you got churches too. You got St. John and Robert's there a little bit, you know. Okay, we're out of gas. More calls, right? Robertsdale.
I watch Robertsdale people here, but just like to remind everybody that next week from Saturday, August 24th, the White and Clark football game on the new field turf. And you guys are all basically White and Clark people. Come out and watch the game.
$10 for the advertising.
Wait. First of all, Mayor, I think everybody will agree, you did a marvelous presentation. And the best part was we could understand everything you said and explained.
Oh, thank you.
But I do have a question.
Okay.
Any place on your many agendas, is there anything about the demolition on Euclid Avenue?
Yeah, that's a good question. I got my attorney and building commissioner in back. What's the status of the Euclid Avenue property that we got from the tax sale? Is demolition scheduled?
Demolition is not scheduled yet. We're going to quiet title action.
So we don't have the quiet title action finished. Okay. Just so everybody knows here, we've acquired a lot of properties through the tax sale. Whenever the property's on the tax sale, and clears the first process, the city can put a petition in to acquire that property directly. If it fits into our plan, we'll buy it. Or if it's a real dump and we want to get it off the, you know, and fix it or tear it down, we'll acquire it. We acquired one on Euclid, and it takes it's a long process. And when you get it, you have to go through all the process of clearing the title and doing a quiet title action on it before you can actually get the deed. We can't tear a property down that we don't officially have the deed on. So that's the status right now. Usually, what, 3 to 6 months? At least, okay. That's all for questions, and I'll stay here all day. That's a fact.
Two questions about the right zone.
Yep.
The first is, what are your funding options for that? The second is, can you do it in stages, or either one or the other, instead of collectively
about the quiet zone is what are our funding options? Number two, we do it in stages so we don't have to pay it all at once. The stages will be really difficult because we have to do one railroad at a time. Okay, so, but because there's some money we can save with the gate improvements, so we don't have to do 3 sets. So we're hoping that that 2.4 million can drop a little bit. The funding option right now is the number one project on the list after Indianapolis Boulevard reconstruction. We do our budget. If that doesn't work, the next option is pay as you go with money coming in the TIF district, which will be a couple years down the road. So I'm hoping that money's in the bank by the end of the year. Yeah.
Just what are we getting out of that, that quiet zone, besides quiet?
Yeah.
Because there's that many people were complaining about it, what's supposed to live by the track? I haven't heard from them in years.
You know, that's a good question. There's a quick question of why we spend 2.4 million on quiet zone, okay? If you live close, really close, okay, it definitely it's a hassle, okay? But we've lived with the trains for years. But the real issue for me is that developers are not going to come in and put a hotel on the lakefront or put condominiums on Center Street if the railroad quiet zone's not in front. So it really becomes, I'm satisfying a quality of life need for the people who live here, and I'm also setting the table for future development. Yes, Dave? The question was about the sidewalks on Atchison Avenue north of 117th. When we did sidewalks last year, year before, we actually did do that section because there's 2 other projects that are on the table to do sewer work and other work along Atchison in that stretch. And one of the options was to put new sewer lines underneath the sidewalk. So we didn't want to put new sidewalk there, tear the sidewalks out and put new sidewalks back. So until we got answers for those projects, which are joint projects with Hammond, then we will know the proper answer. Yes, ma'am.
From what I read, Hammond is going, wants to build a hotel in the and want to build a hotel in Whiting Beach. What are the statistics that these two will be built in Rockville? Because we know that Chicago is going to get a casino, and this will affect what future plans that politicians have for this area.
But it was a good question. I don't know if you guys heard it or not. Okay? The question was that we heard Hammond wants to build a hotel by the casino, and they also heard that we're going to build it in the park. What's the statistics to show that number one we can support that, and when the casino, Chicago builds a casino, how will it impact us? Well, let me tell you how the process works. Okay. Now, before you even consider a hotel, you have to hire a professional hotel study. Okay, and they come in and they look at what attractions are currently in your area and how many rooms of a hotel your area can support. Well, the study we did for Whiting-Robertsville area, because it includes parts of Chicago, was mind-boggling. I mean, it would support actually 3 hotels. Okay, I personally don't agree with that, but Hammond's hotel that they're leaning toward is like a Holiday Inn Express or a Hilton Garden, a very low, 100-bed, low-quality unit. And right now, there is no formal plans, it's just discussions. That I doubt it very much that project gets off the ground within 3 years. We'll probably beat them, and our hotel is going to be an upper-end hotel, destination on the lakefront, and between the refinery, Cargill, Lever Brothers, the casino right now, and all of the Oil City Stadium people, and anybody coming into town for other attractions, we think we got the upper hand. But the study is really important. Banks won't even touch the project without a solid hotel study, and right now they're waiting the study because it's that solid. Questions? You're in a third one. I may have to cut you off.
Mayor, I noticed that you haven't mentioned the marina. You want to talk about it?
The Whiting Marina? There is no marina. It's never been in the plans.
Never been in the plan.
Well, I mean, we always looked at a marina, but years and years ago, the refinery, before they started the project, which was 8 or 9 years ago, basically asked us, saying, the only logical place for, the question was, what's the status of the marina and Whiting? I said, there really is no plan, no status. Okay, the refinery, the only logical place for marina and Whiting is to use the refinery property, which we call BP Basin. That's the only place that a marina would actually work and be cost effective. But you have to build a big break wall. If you went out straight out of the beach, you'd have to build a $35, $40 million break wall, but it'd only be $8 or $10 million at the BP Basin. And the BP Basin said they're not interested. You know, they don't want to sell us the property. They don't want a marina there because it just doesn't. They're not interested in having boaters recreate right outside their most important facility, which is the water filtration plant. So really, we're jeopardizing their homeland security by doing that. So it's been off the table for 6 months into my first term. That's
So if they ever took into consideration, opening up, you want to bring people into the city and that, with the new stadium and that, or because of trying to reopen that Amtrak, people could take the payment?
The question is, has anybody ever considered reopening the Amtrak as far as a means to bring people into the community? You know, Amtrak's basically a CSX property, and it's Norfolk Southern. So like one of the big railroads. You know, their whole philosophy now is to do long distance runs only and not do commuter runs. So it's a long shot, and I'll tell you, when I write my book at the end of my big career, there's going to be about 10 chapters on the railroads. They are the worst people to deal with. Outside of the Army Corps of Engineers, I don't know if there's anything worse. You know, but it's just really tough. You know, they don't want to listen to you. You know, it's like pulling teeth.
I know I wrote the Amtrak before, and I got talking to the conductor down there, and that basically they want whatever state they go where they want the government.
It's heavily subsidized by the government. Kathleen.
All right. This is a shame. I too think you know what to put on. But it's a shameless plug. We have a ton of great events going on in Whiting all the time. There are so many that are free, like the monster truck thing. We have a chalk designing chalk event coming up called Chalk Lot. It's free. Dog Days of Summer. We have 2 great art galleries in town that are free. Studio 659, Cornerstone Gallery. If you guys can please come out and support these events, it's so important to the businesses. They're free, and the cruise night, of course. And remember the little shops? This isn't a selfless plug, but Nancy also those treasures are us. So stop in if you can and visit the shops you may never have been in before. Like the mayor said, the business district is so important. And I remember like a year ago, we had all these empty spots, and everyone was asking the mayor, how can we fill these spots? How can we fill these spots? And now they're all filled. So let's keep all of us open. Support the event.
If you guys want to fill out a card at the front, you put your email address on it so you get on our email list, so we can send you updates on forums and promotions and things. We'll be raffling off a couple bikes, so you know at least it's worth your time if you want to put it in. Last question.